Making Alone in the Dark is, I think it's a dream. Alone in the Dark was one of the first PC game I played straight.
So honestly, I applied to Infogram because of Alone in the Dark. I was so huge fan of this game and it was incredible.
Atari had available Alone in the Dark, and we said this would be our dream project. We want to pitch our ideas of what Alone in the Dark should be.
The first proposal of the concept of the game was maybe a little bit too ambitious and too innovative, so that meant too risky for a producer.
We worked, I think, 8 months making the full design, trying to prove that we were able to make it.
We gave all our heart and guts in it, in the concept, and said this is what we believe in, this is our vision of what Alone should be.
But at that moment, Atari was not sure we were able to make it, because it was so ambitious. When you see the game, this was from the beginning. For example, everything collapsing, the real use of objects, the manipulation of the objects, everything was in the original design.
And at a certain time, they said, well, maybe, yeah, guys, these ideas are great, but maybe it's a bit too ambitious. Maybe it's not what it can be realized. And we actually got killed. The project, it was killed.
They decided to give us 6 months to give it a try, so we made a prototype. We worked on an exercise of making a small piece, what we call in the industry a vertical slice.
We made our first prototype and we were able to have a hero able to run, jump, go in the car, go out of the car, use every object around him, and we said, okay, now we can build a full adventure game.
We've worked really hard, we've invested so much time, people stayed nights, and we're happy that the fruit of this work came to reality.
Look at me. Not too scary now, is he?
We wanted something different, and we wanted a different location. And at that moment, we were talking with the lead game designer, Hervé.
For me, the project starts 10 years ago, when I was to New York for my first USA trip. I walk around and I go up to Manhattan, and I just arrived in front of Central Park, and it was very late, so the park was very dark, and there was a so huge contrast between the darkness of the park and the light in the street just around the park. It makes a kind of huge dark square in the middle of the city, and it was like a parallel world. The world of the light and the world of the darkness inside the park, and at that moment I had a kind of flash in my head, and I say, oh, it could be a very great playground to set up a game.
We chose it because it was a real setting, and the drama that you'll be living with the game will make it even more disturbing because it's not in an imaginary area, but an area in which you know and you can relate to.
An ambulance! Maybe they can help us!
Lots of games try to copy the narrative structure of a movie, but a movie is around 2 hours and a game is from 10 to 15 hours. At Eden, we were all addicted to the new serial like 24, Lost.
And at that moment, we had a flash saying, we are so crazy about that, it's quite a new way of telling stories.
Previously on Alone in the Dark.
To build the whole story of what we call the first season, in fact, we work with 5 or 6 designers in the same room. We had a huge desk, and We closed the door during 6 months and nobody was allowed to go out until we have a great plot for each episode.
I'm Sarah Flores. I'm an art dealer. You're not a cop, are you?
I don't actually remember anything prior to waking up this evening.
We work with Lorenzo Carcatera because he grew up in the neighborhood of Central Park in Hell's Kitchen, so he knows the place very well.
I guess I brought what they wanted me to bring, and I hope I brought it, was dialogue, a street sense of New York that they wanted. They wanted a real New York feel. I've grown up here, and I kind of know the city. Based on the other stuff I've done in the past, they wanted this feeling of authenticity in the dialogue, and they knew I'd written for Law and Order, and ran a TV show for 4 years on CBS called Top Cop. So I knew the rhythm and the beat of the city and the dialogue. I think the book he had read, the Atari executive read, was Apaches, which is a real kind of tough, gritty, very dark cop novel. And so I think that's what they were looking for.
Christ, it's about time. What the hell's going on?
We worked in 2 groups. The first group was very focused on the type of situation, very, very linked to the gameplay and how we want to provide gameplay experience to the player in situation. And the other group was more focused on the character, the plot twist, the background. Every day, the 2 groups work together and we try to connect the dot between the 2 interesting things. And we wrote a very high level of the story, with all the answer of all the teasing element we put in the first episode. And after that, we connect with all the situations. So.
My God, I never thought I'd see your face again.
Take it easy. You're hurt. You know him?
No, I don't think so.
Well, what we really want the people to feel when playing Alone in the Dark is that this will be the first game that they will be able to really finish. We've implemented the DVD skip menu, which allows you to practically skip into the game, either move forward or move backwards, and play the game as you want.
If you saved your game and you come back 2 days after and you want to play another episode of the game, you will have a previously.
Previously on Alone in the Dark.
Meet me in room 943? Oh, fuck that, I'm leaving.
Leave me, Edward! Save yourself!
No, we wanted to do a tribute to the first Alone in the Dark, and we felt it was only natural that we use the same character as the first Alone in the Dark, and we wanted it, in some sense, to link the first Alone in the Dark with this one. But at the same time, have an Edward Carnby that is more modern and more adapted to today's gamers' tastes.
Carnby is the link with the first Alone in the Dark, and we don't want to break this link.
Edward was, he's Brad Pitt. He's the star, so you can't mess with the star. But he has a mission to accomplish. He's also dealing with questions that he needs answered, and he may not get those answers, or they may not be answers he likes or wants to hear.
My God, who the hell am I?
We say, okay, it's the same guy, he has the same age, so why? We say, oh, it's interesting because it's our first narrative plot to solve.
Carnby will be meeting different people in the story, and each one will have its own unique role to play in the story. The first person he will meet will be strange guys who just want to get rid of him straight off when he wakes up. And at the same time, there's another person who's calling him.
Edward, who said you could talk?
This character is Theophile, and he will play the role of bringing him the information on his past and why he's in the state he is today.
I'm sorry, Edward. The ritual was so hard on your psyche. A large part of your memories have been sacrificed in the process. Crowley is the one behind this chaos.
What I think I did is try to give the secondary characters as much of dialogue muscle as they could, and as many of their moments as I could allow them. In other words, not make Edward always be the play guy. That everything had to feed off him in order to propel the story.
Sarah, who will he meet accidentally in the building in which he found himself in, will actually play a very, very important role in the story.
She will help you in different situations, but she has a strong character, so there will be lots of different teasing and gentle fight between these two characters.
Hey, look on the bright side. You're in great shape for an old man.
Forgive me for not laughing. My dentures would fall out.
You know, you don't want Sarah to be this young lady who's always like screaming for help.
Look, we gotta go. You two coming?
She is. I'm going to the museum.
The hell I am. You think I'll be safe here?
You know, you want Edward always to have the lead and you know, be the guy charging on the horse. But she's close by. And I think as the episodes evolved, she got stronger.
Don't fuck around or I'll shoot you myself.
Oh, you're a real sweetheart.
Thanks, Doc. Stay safe.
You know, is she like the girl in Indiana Jones who just screams through the whole 2 hours of the movie? Or is she somebody who can take control? And then you envision, well, if Edward weren't there, could she run the action? Could she run the table? And I think she could have, in her own way, in her own different way.
There is also a kind of bad guy with a strong relationship with Theophile, and you know your worst enemy in the game, have some information you need to develop a kind of relationship with him, but it's complicated.
What if he tries to screw us? That's not an option. He'll do exactly what we want. Are you listening, Paddington? There's ways to torture a man that go far beyond the frail limits of flesh and bone.
Obviously, they're looking for the same thing as you. But I think they know more than you. In the side of your quest, you will be meeting them again and again, fighting them, they will be at the key of the revelation of the game.
I'll make you a deal.
Like the one you dealt Theo? I'll pass, thanks.
How's the memory, Mr. Carnby? Still lost in Wonderland?
Carnby.
Yes, that's your name, you poor fool. Edward Carnby. Theo warned us the invocation might have some unexpected side effects.
Hey, I'm in Central Park and I'm badly wounded.
Central Park is an iconic area. It's known by thousands of people. And it's actually a city in the city. You've got a huge museum, a reservoir, police district, even a zoo. So it's a fantastic area to have a diversity in terms of the gameplay situations, and really it was fun for the designers to pick it out and put situations, really incredible situations in the park.
We sent a team to Central Park to take photographs of everything. We took about 1,500 photos on top of all the material that we got off the internet. From that image, we would use the in-house software to transform the image into a 3D version of the same thing.
The interesting thing with the tool with Twilight 2 is it's the same tool used for TDU, Test Drive Unlimited. So we use some features of the tool to build the car.
So we adapted some of the buildings while still trying to maintain the same feel to the building, so that someone who actually lives there would really have the idea that he is actually in Central Park.
We try to blend all these little details together until we have something very satisfying in terms of ambience, to give the real feeling we expect to the player.
All in the Dark is not about surprise, fear, gory blood everywhere. We felt that suggesting fear was more stronger, something that's lurking behind that door, that sound that you hear, that knocking, would be more terrifying because it's in your mind.
Pour moi, le son est un média, évidemment, avec la musique.
For me, sound is one of the media with music which contributes to immersing the player in the game. The first step was to do a lot of sound recordings, to record collisions and impacts and things breaking, for everything that is really tangible. The second way of doing it is by working with a sound bank, and you work on the individual sounds afterwards so that you actually get the texture you're really looking for out of it. Because of the dynamism of the game, it was a real challenge to make the sound dynamic and really integrate it with everything else in the game.
I have unleashed a wickedness that waited centuries for revenge. It's coming to the park now!
Why in a movie like Indiana Jones, something like that, the hero can run, jump, fight, drive a car, jump out of the car, use the car as a bomb?
This game is not about picking ammo on having a full range of different weapons.
You don't need the specific key to open the specific door, and you can open door without key, because if you are imaginative enough, creative enough, you can build your own weapon and blow up the door.
The player feels in this world and believe in this world. Anything that you feel you will be able to interact with, you can do it.
The idea is to really manipulate objects.
There was a moment when we got all the different gameplay elements in, and that we expected that we would get emergent gameplay. But when we started seeing the crazy things that we could do, we were like, oh my god.
It was fun because when we talk about some gameplay situation in the game, after some discussion we realized nobody in the development team played the same situation the same way.
At the same time, it's not something that it's brainy, it's more like instinctive. And so, for example, with just a basic lighter and a healing spray, I can create an incredible flamethrower or use the spray to heal myself at the same time. I mean, that's incredible.
Un autre exemple concerne le feu.
Another example is with fire, which was particular technical challenge where we wanted to see just how realistically we could have a fire propagate.
It's one of the main features of the game because everything in your environment in wood can burn. It's your best weapon against all the creatures in the game, but you need to be very, very careful because if you don't use it in the good way, you can propagate fire all around yourself and be in a deadly trap.
We had situations where the fire propagation was incredible, but it looked terrible. And other situations where we get great working fire, but it didn't move at all. So we had to find the right balance in all those different areas to have something that we today believe looks fantastic, but of course, with every powerful tool, it can be your worst enemy.
What we wanted to achieve on the Wii version was to get a real Wii game. The experience is quite a new experience. We didn't put the focus on Central Park itself. We focused the gameplay on different places. And the challenge was, is it possible to adapt this gameplay? Is it possible to get those gameplay working for the player? And of course, are they interesting? our game designers had a lot of very different ideas.
First, we have the pointer to aim at the screen with a gun to shoot, or in the menus, for example.
To use a remote as a rope, to make a quick action, to jump.
You can use the B button of the remote as a gun trigger to shoot. And naturally, you have the sound of the gun going out of the remote controller. Secondly, we have the accelerometer. These accelerometers can be used in different ways. For example, we can detect the position of the remote. To open the inventory, you just make the gesture as if you were opening the box, and then naturally the character opens his jacket and you can choose the different items.
What was very fun is when we tried to put everything into the game. It was very interesting to see that most of those gameplay were in fact perfectly adapted for the Wii version.
We had the chance to work very closely with Nintendo because they gave us the feedback about the way we implemented the use of the controller in our game.
I think the remote is really the link between the game and the player in a very deep level.
We wanted to have the kind of music you would hear in a Hollywood blockbuster. We wanted to make a very strong theme that would stay in mind after you play the game. We wanted it to evolve from one point, from the very beginning to the game to the very end. There isn't any repeated cue. You're gonna have, more than 4 hours, even 5 hours of original music that was written to explain, to add something different. We needed something that would be very emotional and very mystical. A voice is the best way for me to reproduce human feelings. We needed to have the best musicians we could to perform the music. The words are about Carnby, about what's happening all around this New York Central Park. I knew the mystery of Bulgarian voices from my childhood because my parents were listening to some, old, discs. The first time I contacted them, I was talking about Alone in the Dark, the storyline, everything, and they understood, and they were kind of, excited about the project itself. But they said, okay, so now we want the music, and only the music will decide for us. So when I sent the music, the conductor, Dora Istova, she took the score for maybe 2 weeks. She returned by email and said, oh, I like the music and we're gonna do it. We went to Sofia, Bulgaria. It was very personal to meet them, finally to be with them and to listen my music, performed by them. I wouldn't guess that what I had in mind was what they were singing because it's so special. They brought so many of their own personality. They took the music for themselves and transformed it, and they made it beautiful.
Taste your fear. So many questions.
For the monsters, what we want from the beginning is to not have just monster chasing you, but to give to the player the feeling that they are all connected.
Who are you anyway? Join me. No more pain. No more fear.
and all the monsters are from the same soul and are all a part of a higher entity than me.
We did a whole series of drawings trying to define our idea of what this evil would look like.
The idea came from a drawing. The monster was close to a wall, and there was a crack at that moment on the wall, and we started talking about that, saying, maybe the monsters comes from the wall.
Do you hear that? Did you hear it? What the fuck is that noise?
What noise?
It's those cracks again.
But still, it was not innovative enough, saying, it's still monsters, classic monsters, we wanted something different. And that's why we came up with saying, why it's not the crack, the fissure in this wall that generated this monster.
Well, what we wanted for the fissure is clearly to have a monster that you have never seen in other games, and we really spend a lot of time thinking about what could be like an open gate on hell.
Have you seen the walls? They're alive, like in nightmares. They open up and swallow you. I swear I saw it.
We wanted to avoid the idea of representing evil as the big red devil with the horns. Now we wanted to have another kind of evil which swallows life, chews it up, and then spits it out as a kind of mutated form.
You hear that?
So the fissure takes people, grab them, absorbs them, transform them into an evil creature. It's like having this evil entity that is creating his own army.
The monsters can of course see you, they can hear you, but we have this really special thing which is they can smell you, and they can smell special things like blood especially. I will always remember the day we put the monsters and Candy together. It was in the parking in the game, and we just played it like for hours. It was so fun just to grab objects and eat them and actually see that it was working. So from that day we knew that we were going in the right direction, and it always carried us till the end.
We wanted to break some cliches, to bring something different that give the player the sensation that it's a new way of playing.
We didn't want to be one type of genre game. We really wanted it to be an experience. So that's why, to build that experience and to have that freedom of movement, we mixed all these different gameplays together.
In Alone in the Dark, you're able to run, jump, shoot in first-person view, use a ton of objects, drive vehicles.
In the game, you will have to improvise to survive.
Even a chair can be a weapon.
We want the fire to react realistically, propagate on all inflammable surfaces, following the logic of the physics, as well as look great and create real-time lights.
Fire can be your greatest ally and your worst enemy.
Previously on Alone in the Dark.
You're not obliged to finish every part of the game to pass to the next step.
With the DVD skip menu, this will be the first game that they will be able to really finish.
There's writing. Theo, my pupil, and I. 1936.
The game is full of action, of plot twists, character revelations, and incredible cliffhangers that will keep you on the edge of your seat.
What I hope is Alone in the Dark will change what the gamers expect from a game.
Here's the stone you've carried for so long. It's mostly harmless now, but it still has power in the right hands. You're our only salvation.